Hi, ninth period. I am out today because I have a doctor's appointment. So I decided to kind of do the lesson with you and hope that it works. If not, we'll have to repeat some stuff. But anyway, this would be just kind of what I would teach you on a regular day. So, first of all, you need to take out the paper that you were given. This paper is called a coordinate plane. So we put in our notebook yesterday the words coordinate plane. We put in our table of contents coordinate plane. But this is what one of those is. And this looks different than what we've been doing the last couple of days because it has numbers on it. So when we were looking at the emoji pictures or when you were creating your own graph with your team or the graph that you worked on yesterday, it had all these spaces, but nothing was numbered. The purpose of that was to sort of teach you that there are these spaces that are in between what I like to call the roads, right? We've got these main roads, but we also have all this space in between the main roads that we have to figure out how to get to. So this thing is called a coordinate plane. There are a couple of important pieces to the coordinate plane that you need to remember and memorize. So here's where your colors are going to come in. All right. So normally I would ask the class, does anybody know what any of these are called? But obviously I'm not here, so I'm just going to tell them to you. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little blue. You can do whatever you want. This line is a very important line, and you can see I'm kind of scribble coloring on it, although I'm not coloring like a 2-year-old, right? I'm just making sure that I can see that it's a color. So I'm making this sort of a bluish purple. This line is called the x-axis. So I'm going to take a pen now because of course I can't write in crayon, and I am going to label this. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it, the x-axis. And maybe you want to pause the video for a minute so you can catch up with me. This side of the road is called the x-axis, and this side of the road is called the x-axis. Just like in real life, roads don't always change their names just because they cross over an intersection, right? This whole line is called the x-axis, which then leaves us with this line, the straight up and down line. This one is called the y-axis. So I'm going to take a different color. I'm going to kind of scribble color, make sure that I've got everything I can do colored in here. And then I'm going to turn my paper to the side because, of course, my handwriting, right? And I'm going to label this the y-axis. And I'm going to label both sides of it the y-axis. Both sides are called the y-axis. And again, feel free to pause anytime you need to catch up with me. Normally, I would be looking around the classroom, right, and making sure that everybody was with me where they needed to be. So we've got the x-axis and the y-axis. The last part we're going to talk about today is this kind of very special intersection where both of the lines meet. So where both of those lines meet, there's a number that goes there and there's a name for it. The number that goes there might be kind of obvious. It's in between -1 and 0 on the x-axis, and it's in between -1 and 0 on the y-axis. So the number that goes there is 0. So I'm going to take a marker just because crayon doesn't work over this, and I'm going to make a big 0 right there. And I like to make it look like that because the other piece of this is that this is called the origin, and origin starts with O, right? In English class, an origin would be where something begins. So the origin story for Spider-Man, how Spider-Man became Spider-Man, is that he was bitten by a radioactive spider, right? And then he turned into Spider-Man. The origin of your family might be a country where your family came from. Mine is Ireland and Scotland. Or the origin story of your family, if you only know back to your great-great-grandmother, might be that she worked on a farm, something, I'm not sure. My origin story would be starting in Saratoga because it's where I start. It's where everything begins for me. So origin in math class is where all 4 of these separate sort of number lines start, right? If I start here at 0 and I move this way on the number line, everything is positive and is just like kindergarten. If I move up, this is like our elevation number line. Everything's positive. If I move to the left, this is new for us this year, right? This is where the negative numbers are. And then if I move down, this is the other part that's new for us, all negative numbers. So we're putting together 2 number lines we've been spending time working on already. The regular number line that we started with, and then our elevation number line. We're putting them together here and making a coordinate plane. All right, so we kind of have some things named here. The next important thing is, what the heck is this thing for? Why do we need it? Well, I sort of like to say this math is where Google Maps came from. Google Maps would not be able to exist if there wasn't a coordinate plane that those mathematicians understood and were able to use. This thing acts like a map. If there was an emergency at a house right here that was located right here, that house is not on either of these main roads. I need to be able to give directions to that house. How do I do it? How do I tell the ambulance? How do I tell the fire department how to get to that house? I'm going to need to use the numbers. So I really need to pay attention to the numbers that correspond to this dot, to my house. So I see that this little road crosses the 12 on my y-axis, and this road crosses the -8 on my x-axis. Both of those numbers are going to be important. So if I call up the fire department or the ambulance and I say, you need to go to, and I give the 2 numbers, -8, 12, they will be able to find me. However, if I say 12, -8, they're going to be way down here in the totally wrong spot, helping a family that doesn't need help. And things are going to go wrong for me and my family, right? So we've got to pay attention to the order that we give these 2 numbers, this -8 and this 12. And just like when we talked about PEMDAS and we talked about how crazy it was that the whole world agreed on the rules of PEMDAS so that there weren't going to be wars and things, the whole world agrees that the first number we're going to give is the number that's on the x-axis, and the second number we're going to give is the number that's on the y-axis. So up here, I'm going to write the word coordinates. We sometimes also call coordinates ordered pairs, like pairs of numbers. And the numbers that we give, for example, are -8, 12, they always look like this. They're in parentheses and they have a comma in between them. And the order that I write them is always the number that's on the x-axis first and the number that's on the y-axis second. You have to memorize that. You're going to be doing it so often that I think it'll be easy to memorize. But even in 8th grade, your whole 8th grade math year is based on this coordinate plane and based on you memorizing that x comes first and y comes second. So if you ever forget which one comes first and which one comes second, sing your ABCs. When you sing your ABCs, you'll notice that you say W, X, Y, Z. So the ABCs give you the answer. They tell you which one comes first and which one comes second. So when I'm writing down the address, if you will, of this dot right here, I write down the number that's on the x-axis first, that -8, and the number that's on the y-axis second, that -12. So I would give this a name and I would write -8, 12. You have to label the dot with its address, okay? So this is how this works. What we really need to do is practice. So I'm going to show you a couple more, and then you're going to do some on your own. So let's see. If I was trying to find a house that was at -3, +7. -3, +7. I'm going to write it down here. -3, +7. The way I do that is, okay, I have to think to myself, this number is going to be on the X axis on this line. So I could maybe, I'm going to start at my origin, and maybe I go the wrong way. And I'm like, where's -3, -3, -3? Oh, wait, these are all positive numbers. I've gone the wrong way. So then I'm going to go the other way. -3, -3. Oh, there's -3. I'm going to put my finger on that. That's where my -3 is. Now I need on my y-axis, because y comes second, so that's on this line, I need a +7. So again, maybe I go the wrong way. I'm looking for 7. Oh, nope, 7's not going to be here. Those are all negatives. So I got to find my +7. Here's 7. So one strategy I can use is kind of putting a finger on each one of these lines and moving my fingers until they meet and finding the exact spot where the two lines cross, and that's where they meet. And I could put my dot right there. As you get better at it, or maybe it's just different ways that different brains work, you might try this strategy. This works better for me. If I'm trying to find -3, +7, I find my -3 and then I just count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I put my dot there. And then I will label it -3, +7. A reminder that your dots should be on lines where the lines cross each other for the most part. Sometimes we'll be putting dots in the spaces when we're using fractions and things, but for the most part, we're just going to do where the lines meet and where they cross each other. So I am going to give you a list of points to plot, and I'm going to ask you to plot them. That's going to be your classwork today. When you finish that classwork, please put it in the period 9 bin. Make sure your name is on it. And then for the remainder of the period, I would like you to keep progressing with your Frax game and keep going to do as many missions as you can. Okay? So here are the points I'm going to ask you to plot. And I would use a pencil for this because you're new at it. Okay? Let's see, I want you to do 9, -4, and I'm going to label that point A. When there's a letter next to the point, all you have to do is put that letter next to it. You don't always have to write both of these numbers. If there's no letter, then you do have to write the numbers. So I'm going to try to make things easier on you, and I'm going to give you some letters. Point B, let's say, is 4, 11. C, -2, -12. D, -13, 1. E, 0, 7. F, 7, 0. I'll be interested to see what you do with those. And then one more. Let's see. Let's go -5, 2. All right. So you're going to plot all of these points. You might want to pause the video just so you can keep these on the screen and then, plot these points, hand it in, and you'll be good to go. If you have any questions about this, obviously we'll get at them tomorrow. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.